Good morning, everyone. This is Carol Warren, and we are happy to be able to offer this webinar today. I teach at NC State University, as well as coordinate programming for our Doctorate of Education degree program in Community College Leadership. I also serve as a faculty scholar for the Belk Center for Community College Leadership and Research. And before working with NC State, I provided 16 years of service to 2 community colleges in North Carolina. I'm joined today by my colleague, Dr. Michelle Bartlett.
Hi, I'm Michelle Bartlett, and I am also faculty at NC State. I direct the Master's in Training and Development program and teach advanced instructional design. I also serve as a faculty scholar for the Belk Center for Community College Leadership and Research, and I'm the editor of the CTER Journal, and we are so happy that you have joined us today. Please add any questions that you have to the Q&A feature, and we will answer them after the webinar concludes.
Today's webinar is divided into 3 themes. We will discuss ways to move forward with e-advising in the current climate, tools and strategies to aid in the e-advising process, and we'll conclude with how to move forward with a strategy to implement e-advising. The context of this seminar was initially designed for community college advisors, but may be adapted to other learning environments as well. During the first of 3 themes, we will discuss ways to provide e-advising services in the current climate. Social distancing has created a need to think through advising with a different approach. In the past, scholars Melinda Karp and Georgia Stacy of the Community College Research Center at Columbia University described good advising as one that takes a developmental approach and guides students through options that allow them to explore their career interests, skill sets, personal interests, as well as their talents. Some of you may be familiar with the term intrusive advising, which may also be called success coaching, and embodies all of the qualities mentioned by those scholars. The option to provide success coaching is the ideal situation. However, as far back as 2010, research identified that advisor to student ratios can be as high as 1 advisor to 1,600 students.
Things right now are unusual, a bit different. We're navigating unknown waters. For people who are used to advising in person, this new virtual space can create a sense of panic. However, if we lock our mindset to the goal of the task of advising, we can get through these new challenges, maintaining a mindset of keeping students' needs at the forefront. So how do we approach students? Students are dispersed and they're experiencing increased barriers to their education. For example, some of our students may not have the best access to technology and may experience low bandwidth or no access to Wi-Fi. Some students may be experiencing food or housing insecurities, or some students may not know where to begin to get back on track with their education. How do you connect with your advisees? How can we connect with these students? We already know that more often than not, students need access to non-academic support systems during the advising process. The current climate presents an opportunity to connect with your students to not only provide an alternative way for advising, but also much needed resources from your institution and your community to sustain them during this time. This is a great transition to our next section.
The next part of the presentation will focus on tools and resources that can be useful to support e-advising practices during this time of sheltering in place. Three tools allowing access to text a group of individuals Video chat with small groups or make calls using a number that is not your own personal number include Remind.com, Google Duo, and Google Voice. Remind.com allows group texting, and one example would be to set up different groups to send out alerts, deadlines, and I have even used it to send motivational quotes to students. It's a user-friendly tool and also has a mobile app that makes it easy for the sender. This would be an ideal way to communicate with those students who may be doing all of their virtual advising by phone. Remind.com is a great way to differentiate groups of students by program or by their status. For example, one group could be set up for new incoming students in a program, one for those who have fewer than 30 credit hours, and one for those with over 30 credit hours. Google Voice allows you to use a phone number to call people so you don't have to use your own personal line. Be careful to make sure, though, that the number you establish doesn't include letters or spell out letters that could potentially indicate something offensive. It's not difficult to change those numbers out if that happens. Google Duo is a video chat app that I've recently discovered, and it could be helpful to send notes out to someone as a group or host a conversation with multiple people at once.
Now let's talk about ways the email tools can help communicating with your students during this time so that it's less overwhelming. There are free services available to help you minimize your inbox and reduce the burden that comes along with managing a large advising load. Of the many tools we will talk about today are MailChimp, Smore.com, canned responses, and instant automatic replies. You can reduce repetition with MailChimp. You can send out a message to a group of advisees with one send. Keep in mind that they can't reply back, so be sure to add into your message how they can contact you.
Smore.com is a newsletter tool with preset templates, free for educators to use to communicate with large audiences. This is a great tool to create and send out announcements, post deadlines, and they have templates specific to COVID-19 to help users and senders think through some of the communication that might be necessary given the circumstances. Recipients of this newsletter can like the newsletter, and the site allows you to track analytics.
Canned responses are useful in sending out messages that you would typically send out to students at specific times or around specific topics. For example, I've created a canned response to help students with their plan of work. In the message, there is a link to a short video and a short handbook with screenshots walking them through the plan of work. I also have canned responses for getting an ID card, etc. Any email that you find yourself typing repeatedly can be placed into a canned response or template if you're using Gmail.
You can also set up automatic replies. For example, usually we think about setting an automatic reply when we're out on vacation or on extended leave. Consider setting your automatic reply or instant response to include instructions for students to access your calendar, links to critical resources, and directions on how to enroll. Consider advising students in groups. Group advising done synchronously or at the same time in a virtual setting can prove to be efficient. I have conducted group advising sessions with students and prefaced the session by explaining that the advising session is designed to provide information, deadlines, and steps to enroll successfully, not to discuss personal matters. It's important to establish those boundaries up front. While this model does save time, consider FERPA. It may not be appropriate for every topic. Another resource to offer students as you begin advising includes online virtual office hours via Zoom or other web conferencing tools. Again, be mindful of FERPA. This not only provides your available timeframes, but also enables you to hopefully establish work-life balance.
Calendly is a great tool for scheduling advising time. You can create different types of meetings, such as 15 minutes, 60-minute meeting blocks. As you can see, I have my face-to-face turned off for now. Calendly is free and it's easy to set up, and it links directly to your Google Calendar. So this is a view of what a student may see that has clicked your Calendly link. And then once they select one of these meeting types that they would like to schedule, they'll click a date that works for them. Available dates are highlighted in blue. And once they click that date, they will click an available time, as you can see on the right side. This request automatically syncs with your Google Calendar. You can also set the boundaries for each meeting type of when people can schedule with you. For example, certain advising types you may wish to restrict to Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or certain days of the week you may want to restrict times such as 9 a.m. to noon. So when students click to schedule with you, they will only be shown available times within that boundary. If you have another work meeting, say that you put into your Google Calendar, perhaps a planning meeting with other faculty or with your chair, those times will automatically become unavailable in Calendly. Another strategy is to create tools and share with other faculty in your program area. So here on the left is a document that I've created for our master's program. It's not an official plan of work or program of study, but I send it out to new students to help them individually keep track. I also ask students who are asking for course advising to bring this planner to me either via email or to the virtual meeting and filled out with courses they've already taken and which ones they plan to take during the semester that we're meeting about. On the right, you can see similar documents that were made for our graduate certificate programs.
So, what are your next steps to forge ahead with a plan? We will use the next few minutes to talk about ways to develop a strategy to advise your students virtually. Planning is an essential part of the advising process, and how you deliver your initial message will ultimately impact retention and enrollment for your institution. As you receive questions from students, keep an ongoing list of frequently asked questions with answers that you provide so that you can keep your website current or redirect continued questions to the list. This will also reduce your workload and response time. Another way to plan ahead is to create a checklist for students to rely on or even to complete prior to their advising appointment.
You can also ask other counterparts at peer institutions what they're doing. You can schedule a brainstorming session to exchange ideas. There's no need to reinvent the wheel, right? So you find out what's working and what hasn't worked for other people from other colleges. And the sharing of ideas and tools is extremely helpful. So if you're interested in continuing the conversation of e-advising and sharing tools with others, we've created a community in Facebook that you can join. Please search Facebook group CC e-advising community.
When you request to join, you'll be prompted to answer the questions you see here. You will also be required to agree to the 4 rules established for the group. Be strategic. Share examples of strategic advising methods among your team. I recently spoke with one community college colleague who had created a phone tree and split the list among many advisors, faculty, and others, not only to provide advising information, but to check in on students as well. Sometimes a thoughtful approach can send a powerful message. Use training to cross-train employees in other departments who may not normally serve as an advisor to help during the advising rush. Consider creating short 2 to 3 minute videos on how the advising process will work with step-by-step instructions. If you need support in creating a video, we will be providing resources for you at the end of this presentation. Incorporate others in your advising processes. Is there a way to utilize and train student leaders, your student government association leadership team, or college ambassadors to be peer advisors? Look to the experts. The National Academic Advising Association, or NACADA, is the global community for academic advising. If your institution is not already a member, they also offer a host of resources for free.
With your institution's permission, be flexible given the circumstances. If there's a hold that can be lifted, lift it. Look at ways that you can remove barriers for your students during this difficult time.
So to all of you who are already exceptional advisors, as you move forward with making plans and establishing new processes for advising your students, we'd like to leave you with this quote. The resources used throughout this webinar today included these publications. Please stay connected with us. If you are in North Carolina and you would like to request one-on-one coaching or short videos tailored to your needs, you can visit the link provided here.
If you're located outside of North Carolina, please reach out to us via email at virtualpacknc@gmail.com, and we can work to connect you with resources. We hope that you've enjoyed today's short webinar, and we would love to hear from you. Please take 2 to 4 minutes to share your thoughts on the webinar today at go.ncsu.edu/webinar evaluation.
This concludes today's exploration of e-advising guidance for success. We appreciate all that you are doing to lead your teams and serve your students and institutions. We wish you the best with successful e-advising as the next semesters approach.